Greetings and hello everyone. Today we're going to be looking at 2D figures and we're going to be finding perimeter, circumference, and areas of those figures. So let's take a look at the first one. So the first figure we have is a triangle. So when I draw out my triangle, I'm going to say that this is side C, this is side D, and this is side B. And inside the triangle, we have our height. As that comes down, that makes a right angle at the bottom. So the perimeter formula for a triangle is going to be the sides all added together. So B plus C plus D. The area formula for a triangle is going to be 1/2 base, this bottom part down here, times the height, this part right here in the middle. So that is our perimeter formula and our area formula for triangles. The next one we're going to look at is a square. So when we draw out the square, all the sides are equal to each other and they form right angles. So this is going to be side, 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 side. So our perimeter formula is side plus side plus side plus side, or 4 times the side, because we're adding the side 4 times. The area formula for a square is the side, and we're just going to square it. Side times side, or side squared. Our next figure we're going to be looking at is a rectangle. So it's going to be similar to the square, just a little different. So with this, we have our length and we have our width. So the perimeter is going to be length plus width, length plus width, plus length plus width. Or we can say 2 length plus 2 width. Our area formula is going to be length times width. And that's going to be our formulas for our rectangle. Our last one is our circle. So all the way across going through the center, this is known as a diameter. From the center of the circle to one of the sides, this is known as the radius. So our circumference formula is 2 times pi times radius, or pi times diameter. So those are 2 formulas for the circumference. For area, it's going to be pi times radius squared. But what if they only give me a diameter? Well, if they only give me the diameter, if I divide that by 2, I get a radius. And if you notice, the radius goes from the center to one side. And then if we had a radius from the center to the other side, then that would be from one side of the circle to the other side of the circle, going through the center, or a diameter. And remember, as a side note, pi is about 3.14. So these are our formulas, and these are what we're going to use to find our perimeter, area, and circumference for our given figures. So it's going to tell you what you want to find, and then you're going to calculate it out. So let's take a look at example 1. So it says, find the perimeter or circumference and area. So I want to find this or this, and I want to find the area for each of the figures. So we have a rectangle for number 1. So what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to find my length, and I'm going to need to find my width, because my perimeter formula is 2 length plus 2 width, and my area formula is length times width. Well, these are slanted, so it's going to be a little difficult for me to count the number. It is, but there's a formula I know, and that is the distance formula. So I'm going to use the distance formula to help me figure this out. So from A to D, A is at -4, 2. D is at 1, 7. So this is going to be my x1. This is going to be my y1, x2, y2. Let's figure out the distance formula. So the distance is going to be my length. So we're going to take the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Let's go ahead and substitute in the values that we have. So this is going to give me the square root of x2 is 1, x1 is -4. And then I'm going to square that. Plus y2 is 7, y1 is 2. And I'm going to square that. This double negative right here turns into a positive. So this gives us the square root of 1 plus 4 squared. And then we're going to have 7 minus 2 squared. So let's do the addition and the subtraction. So we're going to get the square root. 1 plus 4 is 5 squared. 7 minus 2 is 5 squared. 5 squared and 5 squared gives me 25 plus 25, which equals the square root of 50. So we found our length. Now let's find our width. So our width, we're going to use A again, -4, 2, and we're going to use B this time, which is 0, -2. Our width formula is still the distance formula, x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Substitute in all the values. This is going to be my x1. This is going to be my y1. This is going to be my x2. This is going to be my y2. So when I substitute in the values, I'm going to get x2 is 0 minus -4 squared plus -2 minus 2 squared. Double negative turns into a positive, so this turns into a plus. So this is 0 plus 4 squared. And over here I just have -2 minus 2 more. So do the addition, do the subtraction. This gives me the square root of 4 squared plus -4 squared. Square it out. That gives me the square root of 16 plus 16, which is the square root of 32. So now I have my length. Now I have my width. I can go ahead and put them into my formula up here. So this is going to give me 2 times the square root of 50 plus 2 times the square root of 32. And if I type all that into my calculator, I'm going to end up getting about 25.5. For my area, I'm going to have the square root of 50 times the square root of 32. When I type that into my calculator, I get 40. So my perimeter is 25.5 and my area is 50 or 40. Let's go ahead and take a look at B. So same thing here. We have C, which is our center, and then we have one of our sides. So going from our side to our center, this is going to be a radius. So the formulas I'm going to use are circumference equals 2 times pi times radius, and area equals pi times the radius squared. But now I need to find the length of this radius. So my center is at 4, 8, and my D is at 6, 3. So this is going to be my x1, y1, x2, y2. So radius equals the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Plug in our values. This gives me the square root of 6 minus 4 squared plus 3 minus 8 squared. What do we get? We get the square root of 2 squared plus negative 5 squared, which gives us the square root of 4 plus 25, which equals the square root of 29. So now I have my R value. Now I can put it back into both of these. And remember, pi equals 3.14. So let's put it in. So this is going to give me 2 times 3.14 times the square root of 29. And when I type all that into my calculator, I end up getting 33.8. For area, this is going to give me 3.14 times the square root of 29. When you square the square root, you just get the number that's inside. So this is going to be 29 times 3.14, which is 91.1. Of course, these are approximations. So let's take a look at example 2. So we want to calculate for this the perimeter and the area of this plate. So the shape of this plate, well, the side is 12.5, and then we have 12.5 inches. So this is equal to this, so they're the same thing. So we can use a square or rectangle. They give us the same measurements, so that's why we can use a square. The rectangle formula would work as well. My length would be 12.5, my width would be 12.5. Let's just use the square formula. So our perimeter equals 4 times the side, and my area formula equals side squared. So let's start off with perimeter. 4 times the side, which is 12.5. So when I go 4 times 12.5, I get 50, and then this is in inches. So my perimeter equals 50 inches. Area. Area is going to be 12.5 inches, and I'm going to square it. So that's going to be 12.5 times 12.5. When I multiply 12.5 times 12.5, I get 156 and 3/10. And then I have inches times inches, so that would be inches squared. So that is my area, and that is my perimeter for my approximation of this figure. If I had done the same thing for rectangle, I would have ended up with 2 times 12.5, which is 25. 2 times 12.5, which is 25. 25 plus 25 is 50. And then length times width, I would have ended up with 12.5 times 12.5, which gives me 156.3. I would have gotten the same values out. So review through anything that you need to, and have a great day.